stars just to bring you
Top of the morning from beautiful downtown Boston.
Hi, my name is Elgin, and when I do my paintings, I paint as E-Tryon. So every time you see my paintings, you'll see E-Tryon on there. You will not see the Elgin. That's the guy I married. He had nothing to do with what I do paint-wise. And what I want to talk about is what you see in the window there. And I have three types of paintings, well actually three types, but mostly two that you'll see, and that's my figurative work. And then there's the landscapes, and I think I brought one of my pastel portraits that I do. And they're of animals. I do a lot of pastel portraits of animals. And I brought my favorite boy, he's my Mac, he's my Airedale. He's now 14, and I don't know how long I'm going to have him, but he's my love, my furry face love that I paint. And I love doing animals. I grew up 4 blocks from the racetrack, spent a lot of time at the racetrack drawing the horses and the hounds that were there. So that was a very important part of being able to draw animals. And my father got me a book on anatomy of horses and dogs. So you can imagine how well I know horses and dogs. But I can do cats. And any animal that's on 4 legs I can do. I also love doing people. And when I would go up to the track, I would do little sketches of the grooms and the people that were at the stables and just what they were doing in my little quick sketches. And I've gotten better over the years. So yes, when I was little, they were young people sketches. And you could see that I would improve as I got older. When I'm doing the figurative work that's in there, I was working from a live model. A live model sits for about 20 minutes and takes a 5-minute break back to that. And we do it in about 2 to 3 hours of working from a live model. Because after about 2 hours or 3 hours, not only is the model tired, but so is the artist. Because we're on our feet and we're concentrating very hard on the model, trying to get as much of the model, what they look like, and what is the story that they're trying to tell, and what are we bringing to the story? Because all of us have a backstory that's there. So there are 2 paintings in there of figurative paintings of women that are so compelling in a lot of ways for me. One is Waiting to Serve. And Waiting to Serve, actually a friend of mine, she set it up to look like a Monet painting of the woman behind a bar going to serve as a barmaid. Well, as I'm painting this, I'm remembering stories that my mother told me as her being a waitress and working in bars and serving drinks, and how tired she would be at the end of the day. And she says, and how to deal with some of these very demanding customers. And as I'm painting this, I'm internalizing what I'm seeing in front of me. And so you can see in this painting, this internal thing of, oh, I'm tired, I've been here for hours, when is this going to end? And I have to deal with terrible customers, as well as nice customers, but you can see the tiredness on her face. And that's part of doing figurative work. And the other is I kind of tapped into my cultural heritage and background. For me, I am of Scots-Irish descent. So there it is. I'm sitting there painting this young girl who is being a model, and she's in a slip. And she's in a slip, for me, and I'm painting her, and she's in front of this mirror, and there's something about how she's looking, and how she is kind of, to me, I'm picking up on that contemplation, this kind of, sadness. She had a melancholy type of look on her face to start with, and I talked to her afterwards. I was surprised at how much I picked up on her own heritage as my own. So we made a connection, and I put it in the painting. And a lot of people don't realize this is what artists do. When you're painting, you're drawing, you kind of start connecting with the people that you're depicting and painting. We now live in the modern age where everybody, when they want a portrait, they send you a photograph. And I'm like, I want to take the photograph of you. If you can't sit, let me at least take your photograph. If I can't, please get a photographer that knows what they're doing to send me more than one. I don't mind doing portraits. I kind of like doing them, which I had done of Linda. Linda had already passed, so I had to work from a photograph from Linda. And I can't tell you, there was 25 photographs sent to me about Linda, and I'm going through them and picking out the ones that, okay, this works, this one works. And then, of course, well, we want this, and I tried to give them that, and they were like, no, that's not working. So we kept changing it and changing it. Finally, it was just Linda, and I'm like, thank goodness. Because she's the main star. Yes.
You get the different ones, the different photographs that people send you. So do you use that to try to create in your mind the image of the person if you don't know them? Is that what you're trying to get?
Well, what I do is I sit on the even when I'm doing an animal portrait, I want to know about how you feel about your pet and how you feel. And I happen to know, I had known Linda Mahoney, so that was a plus on my part. But if I don't know someone, I will talk to them. I want to find out about who they are, why they want this done, how their background, the whole thing, who they are. Because while I'm painting, I'm actually talking to the photographs that are all around my easel. I talked to Linda a lot when I was painting her, which was kind of funny. I'm like, Linda, tell me what you want to look like. Tell me who you are in all this, besides the Linda that I would meet at, women's conventions or women's events. I need to know the Linda behind all that, And it was kind of funny. I almost felt like Linda was there with me at times. When like, nope, that's not it.
She would be vocal, I'm certain.
Oh, yes, very vocal. And that's what I feel is important when you're doing figurative work, when you're doing a portrait. The other is is old people. They have history in their face. History is really important because we don't live life in a vacuum. And then I also like to paint children because it's total innocence. It's like they're innocent of all the things that are going to happen in this world. So it's really kind of fun to do that, for me at least. Now landscapes, I've got to tell you, I love being outside. Tomorrow I'm going to Newcastle, Delaware. And it's Paint Newcastle, which is a historic area, and it's very colonial looking still. And I'm thinking, oh, what can I capture here about that? So there's that part of it, this there. But there's also the other part of me is that I feel that our world needs to be captured of the beauty that we still have in this world. We still have forests, we still have streams. I'm living up in Harford County, and I'm near the Bynum, and they've just did restoration on the Bynum. So I have 6 paintings of the Bynum, and the stages of restoration that was there. And I'm like, the final one it looks wonderful. like, we're saving this stream that goes into the Chesapeake Bay with the crabs and the oysters that I love to eat, so that we don't keep polluting our water. And so I contacted the Chesapeake Bay Foundation, hoping that they would say, oh, we'd love to show your paintings. They didn't, but that's another story, all on its own. So that's my story about the paintings. I connect with what I do. You know, my paintings are me. They're what I'm seeing. I like teaching people about painting. I tell them, I don't mind you working from a photograph, but remember, the photograph only sees this much. We see this much. This is our range of value and everything. You know, this is our f-stops. This is the camera's f-stop. And so that's not cameras are not bad. Just remember that it's only limited to a certain element of it. We can tell a broader story. We can get rid of things that are in a photograph. We don't have to do the power lines that are running across it. We can get rid of those. We can do artistic license. What attracted you to that photograph to start with? It wasn't the power lines, I can assure you that. So that's the thing when I'm teaching, and I'm telling you, if you're sitting here in this classroom and you're doing grass, look out the window, that's the color of grass, not that what's in the photograph, because it has a limited view of what the colors are and the values are, so we can see that. I said, learn to train your eyes to see all the different colors that we have in nature, and it ranges everywhere. So I also brought my setup. This is my plein air setup. I want to kind of do to kind of show off how I set up. This is what I carry my easel.
Oh, you easels.
That bolt. Okay, I can see that one. This is, it's like all in one. I can pull this up and I can carry everything. It's got wheels on it. I put my tripod in here. I put this palette in there. I put my mast. This is called a mast, just like a ship. So my mast in there. I have another thing, because I also do pastel. I don't have pastel, by the way, but this is kind of cool when I can change this out. I don't do pastel much in plein air because you need to have not only the frame when you put things together. With oil, I can just pop it in a frame and I'm ready to go. With pastel, you need the frame, you need the mat, you need the spacer, you need glass, and glass can break, and glass makes me nervous. So, but this is the cool thing about this. This is what this comes in. I can set this up on this here, and I have this wonderful box of pastels, my pastel box. Ow! And these go in here like this. And I can set my pastel box right on this, on the easel. And I can put, it has all my ranges of pastel on there. The joy of oil painting, and I'm going to take these out here now, put this back together. Pastels have the advantage that they have all these different values and ranges of color, but there's only 3 colors in the world: red, yellow, and blue. When I'm setting up my palette for oil painting, which is what I have all my paints out that I use when I paint, is I have my white. Got to get another tube of it, as you can see. I have Naples yellow, cadmium yellow, light. I have what they call orange Mohawk, which is really like a cadmium red light. alizarin crimson, which is a red, dark red, ultramarine blue, cerulean blue, and then I go to my earth colors. And these are yellow ochre, burnt sienna, and umber. And that's all I need because I can make any color I need. I can make violet, I can make orange, I can make green, and when I'm out there, and I actually the first half hour, I'm looking at all the various greens that are out there, especially in the landscape. Everything from the yellowish, brownish green to the very brightest green that you see out there. So you'll see all these greens over here on this side of the palette that I have. And then I'll have my violet up here, and then I'll start working the different values, because you have the darkest, and I tell people when they're painting, start with your darkest value. This is what oil paint, when you're oil painting, but what you can do with it. Same thing with pastel. Start with your darkest, because you can put the light over top of it. When I was at Maryland Institute, I tried to take watercolor. I'm not a watercolorist. I don't think like a watercolorist. I think like an oil painter. And so that's why oil painting works so well for me. I have my brushes, so I have a good set of brushes here. This here is a stick. I probably should have a little ball at the end of it, but it's called a ball stick. And what it does is when I'm painting detail, that's the very final thing that I do, it steadies my hand for those little tiny details that you don't want kind of floating away. But artists love tools too. We're tool happy. So one of the tools I have in here, this is a view catcher, it's called, and it has this little thing. I can move this up and down, like that, and I look through it. If I start here, I line it up like this, and I do this, it has to stay like that each time I'm drawing. They forward that in there. If I do it here, I remember that I got to do this. Oh, what a perfect view for you. I could do a portrait of you. So just like that, I would keep it until I get you all sketched in, and I sketch you in oil paint. I don't use pencil or anything like that. Another is what they call a perspective tool. You see I use these tools so I can measure your head and then put it right on the canvas type thing. So I would do that. If I say, oh, I'm going to do a portrait of this one, I would like this. And if I go closer, see, it makes you smaller. So farther away I get from you, the better. By the way, this is landscape style. If I wanted to do the portrait, I just change that. And there's portrait. So then I can go, oh, yeah, there you are. Then I would start marking everything. The length of your neck, the width of your shoulders. See how it fills up the canvas? Yeah. And I can change things. So it's like, oh, I want to make her bigger. So I would bring that up. You can see that I'll change it. See that? Watch this. I can make it really pretty big.
Let's make it smaller.
So there's that. So that would just be your head and shoulders type thing. So that's how we do. This is why these tools are important. It's not to draw you, it's to get measurements. These are measuring tools so that we can keep everything in focus. I have my medium. I have found this medium. I really like this medium. It's from Michael Harding, and it's a resin wax medium. So it kind of thins out my paint a little bit, but it helps it dry a little faster and gives it a nice viscosity to the paint. It goes in this little cup. I have knives, and I gave a demonstration the other day how you can actually paint with knives. I'm like, oh yes, I want a tree. I said, don't paint tree leaves I had one student who was trying to paint every little leaf. I'm like, what are you doing? And he says, I'm trying to paint tree leaves. I'm like, no, just, this is the light's coming from here, the light there, and there's a shadow over here, and I pick up a knife and I'm showing him on my canvas, and I'm just putting each one on there really thick, and he's like, just like that. I said, yeah, just like that. You see, it looks like this. And then there's this other tool, which is called they call it a wipeout tool. And I said, you know all those nice little branches you see in the trees? I said, I can scrape them out. I said, there, canvas becomes my, underneath that you can see this. And I said, I have different types of this. There's canvases that are stretched. I said, and I like this for landscape, for when I'm doing plein air. These are panels. And I said, it's a linen panel. So I like linen. I said, because it's so very smooth. I said, okay, it has just enough tooth so you can grab the paint for me. And I like that. But this is the way I lay out my palette from light to dark. So I'm talking, starts here light and then the warm. And warm is yellow, red. All your reds are hot, yellow is hot. And then blue. Blue is the ultimate of cool. Blue is the coolest color ever. Yeah. And then of course when you're doing earth colors, I'm still following that along with yellow, red, and blue, because umber is kind of, it's just umber. It's all the colors mixed together to make a dark color. So, that's it. That's what I do. And this here is my nice little thing here. It doesn't have anything in it right now. So, but I have it hooked here. This is where I put my turpenoid, and it helps me clean my brushes and clean off my brushes when I'm painting. So, and it's got this really neat little thing in there. Okay. Helps me. The dirty stuff goes down at the bottom, and the clean stuff stays at the top. Or fairly clean stuff, I should say. Because after a while, it does get kind of messy. Somebody asked me, well, how do you get rid of the bad stuff? I said, well, in Haverford County, I said, and when I lived in Baltimore County, I said, there's the landfills, and I said, you can take the stuff over there, and they take care of it. I said, what they do with it, I don't know. I said, they probably use it to burn stuff. I said, I don't care. I said, I just got rid of it. It's not at my house anymore. I said, that's it. And if you notice, also, I can hang my backpack, which I have all my stuff in. This is what I'm carrying my stuff in. So here's my backpack, and it can hang here on this tripod. What that allows me to do on windy days, if it's somewhat windy, it gives this tripod stability. If you try to pick this up, you're like, I see. Yeah, because it is now heavy to try to pick this up. Move things around. And of course, brushes. I have lost brushes. I was down in Solomon Island doing a painting, and I was right on this quay area, and it was beautiful because these sailboats were coming up there. Sailboats. And I thought, great. And this gust of wind came by, and it just picked up the light, small brushes. And took them away. And I'm like watching my brushes fly through the air. And I was like, oh. And it went right over the engine. I'm like looking down and went, oh, there they are. And another artist came, he says, oh, and they're good brushes too, aren't they? I said, yes. So we're looking, and he was commiserating with me about losing these brushes. And he goes, oh, he says, yeah, about $20 worth of brushes down there. So
when you go to paint plein air, how are you there for like 4 hours?
No, you've got about 2.5 hours max. Sun changes. Within the first 20 minutes or so, the sun will change. Tomorrow, I'll get there early, around 8 o'clock. We'll start painting around 8:30, 9 o'clock. I'll finish up by noontime. One of the things you have to do when you're doing plein air painting is you decide where the shadows are and how long they are. Because as noon comes, you'll see those shadows shortening over your object, and I'm like, oh no, I want that nice long shadow going across there. It stays there. I don't try to change it.
So is that some kind of competition?
Oh, there's a competition always.
Yeah.
Well, artists do competitions differently than most people. We're kind of strange. We will celebrate each other. We will help each other. We will support each other. It's not competition like businesses trying to take business away from another person. I think it's not that kind of thing. It's when we get to that where the judging is, and judging is very subjective. I've been in shows where the judge comes by, and one was down in Virginia Beach, which I always remember. And one of the categories was animals in their natural habitat. And I thought, oh, yeah. And I walked down through to see who else was doing animals. Well, there's another woman there. She had these beautiful lions and tigers, and I thought, oh, she'll probably win because they're really gorgeous. Well, she had come walking up, and she saw my elephant that I had done, and dogs and stuff. She said, oh, you'll win. I said, now I think you'll win. Neither one of us won. A purple bear with yellow polka dots, with a chartreuse hat, on roller skates, won. And we're standing there thinking, how many bears do you see that are purple with yellow polka dots on roller skates in their natural habitat? Because it was very clear, it said animals in their natural habitat. And I said, well, obviously the judge had a different idea what natural habitat is from us. Yes.
So we talked about all the different kinds of painting that you've done in terms of subject areas. Is there anything that you would say, oh, this is when it's my dream, this is what I love to do most? I love to do portraits or landscapes or...
I'm in love at the moment I do it.
Is there an artist that you would say is your sort of inspiration that you...
I've had a number of them over the years. A lot of artists that have been, I've fallen in love with. When I was a teenager, my first teachers were like Rembrandt and Michelangelo, and Michelangelo is the drawing master, let's put it that way. And then I discovered pastels, and I found Mary Cassatt, and a lot of female artists, and I'm like, oh, look at what they did. I can do that. I can learn from them. And so over the years, I've found different artists that I've fallen in love with. And guess what? I'm in love with them all. I've not stopped loving Mary Cassatt. Every time I want to be inspired with my pastels, I pull out my book on Mary Cassatt and I look at what she's done. I'm like, oh yeah, that's what I need to remember.